Hello, good morning, everybody. Sorry for the wait. I really appreciate for your patience. Today we have a special episode discussion today. So we're going to talk about communication. Communication is very important. Before go we into the presentation, actually I want to give you some introduction about our Voice of Men 360 organization and also International Men's Day. Um, Give me 1 second. So International Men's Day is, Voice of Men 360 actually started here in Canada, based in Canada, Toronto, Canada. And it is a non-profit organization, and it is part of International Men's Day. International Men's Day, you can see, it has been serving for more than 20 years. This year is the 21st year. International Men's Day, IMD, is following 6 pillars. 6 pillars. Let me share the 6 pillars with you. Number one, to promote positive male role models. Not just movie stars and sportsmen, but everyday working class men who are living decent and honest lives. Number two, to celebrate men's positive contributions to society, community, family, marriage, childcare, and the environment. Number three, to focus on men's health and well being, social, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Number four, to highlight discrimination against men in areas of social services, social attitudes, expectations, and law. Number five, to improve gender relations and promote gender equality. Number six, to create a safer, better world where people can be safe and grow to reach their full potential. These are the 6 pillars last 21 years we are following, and I am proudly be part of this organization. And every week we bring expert from different background, different professions to share their knowledge. Communication, when you talk about communication, it is really important, especially in male's world. So that's why we want to bring and we want to have a discussion, find out what are the missing points, the gaps. So we have a special guest today. Her name is Gloria, and she's an author, speaker, presenter, and coach. So she has been helping so many people, especially the newcomers and any individuals for their career. And also she is working with the corporations too. So let's welcome Gloria. Good morning, Gloria. How are you?
Good morning, Sivam. I am doing fine. And like Sivam, I do apologize for the wait.
That's fine. So let's start with your brief introduction. So I have one question for you before getting into our presentation. So just share your background a little bit more, because I just give you a title, but yeah, please.
Okay. I'm a presenter. I'm a coach. I'm an author. But those things are important. But for me, what's more important is the results that my training or my coaching give to my clients. And I've been in business for 20 years, and I started my business because of an incident in the workplace. I didn't like how I was being treated, so I decided to do something about it. And in doing a lot of research and interviews and so forth, I discovered that communication is the one skill that we use in every single interaction in our lives. And if we are good at communicating, it stands to reason that we will get the results that we want more frequently than not. And so I developed about 15 15 workshops. And the two most requested workshops that I have over the last 20 years are accent reduction for people who speak English as a second language and public speaking skills.
Nice. That's what my question was. What was your inspiration or influence you had before, can you, if you don't mind, can you take us back, exactly what happened, at that place? You don't need to disclose any personal information, but something really bothered you?
Oh, okay. So the incident that got me started on this path is in the workplace. As I mentioned, I didn't like how I was being treated, and I did something about it. I started researching, what makes people influential, what makes people respected. And I found out that regardless of your education, your social status, your wealth, your experience, the one thing that we, as I mentioned, the one thing that we all need or use is communication skills. And if you can master communication skills, if you can become a superior communicator, you are almost automatically respected because of the way you carry yourself. And I did have a couple of incidents when I started my business because it has been so long ago and there were not a lot of females in Toronto doing this, especially of an ethnic background. So I had my own challenges to overcome as a business owner and as a presenter. And it was really hard, but I am really glad that I stayed the course because I was passionate about what I was doing. And I saw the results that I got from the programs that I developed and also the results that my clients have. So it started because of that one incident. And looking back now, I am glad that that incident happened, because if that incident didn't happen, I wouldn't have been doing what I'm doing. So sometimes disappointments and unfortunate events happen to put you in a different path.
Yeah, well said. Thank you for actually sharing. It's sometimes, some people, they don't really like to share, but thank you for sharing. Let's get into the game, actually. Let me share the screen so you can start to work on that
Okay.
presentation. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. So we'll go to the fourth slide.
Yep. 1 second.
Sure. Okay, that's good enough. Yeah.
You see it?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
In communication, there are so many opportunities to miscommunicate, to be misunderstood, or to say things that are misleading. And that's because people have unique ways of communicating. We all come from different cultures, different upbringing, education, experience, age, gender, profession, language, community, environment, and many more facets. In the company we keep, all of these are influences which affect us and affect our communication. And so if we don't have something common to start with, we are going to be misunderstanding each other. That's why today we are talking about the objective, the result, the listener, and the speaker. So if you can go to the next slide for me, please, Stephen.
Sure.
Next one. We covered that. Okay. As I mentioned, when I was doing, I started this business because of the way I was treated. Can you just go back to the slide before? Yes, thank you. What I discovered was how you communicate is how you're perceived, and how you're perceived is how you're treated. And usually when you are not being treated the way you want, you tend to look externally and say, this person is not treating me well, or I'm not respected, I'm not liked, whatever. But really you should be looking internally. So if you don't like the way you're being treated, look at the way you're communicating. That's where it should start. It should not start with externally. And as Michael Jackson said in his song, start with the man in the mirror. Next one. Yes, thank you. Miscommunication causes gaps in understanding. And that's why we, as I mentioned, we are covering 4 aspects of communication today, which is really the basis of all communication. The first one is objective. So the gap in communication is caused, as far as objective is concerned, is caused when there's misunderstanding, when there's blaming the other person, and when and if the message is confusing. Now, if you know what result you want, then it's easy for you to know what you have to do to get that result. And if you can identify the objective and articulate it so that it is understood, then that saves time, builds builds trust. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't think about. We open our mouths and start talking without knowing exactly what it is we want to say. And that's why we maybe be hesitant. We're using a lot of filler words, or maybe what we say is not understood, or maybe not even heard. And so the results that we want is elusive. We do not get the results that we want. So think about this. Have you ever said something or set out to do something and you didn't get the results that you want? Think back as to if you had an objective for that request or that action. More than likely you didn't. It's not something we think about. We just open our mouths and start talking. So what I would implore you to do is know what it is you want to say, or what result you want before you start talking or before you start communicating. Next slide, please. Thank you. Then now you have the result that you want. The next thing you have to look at is, who are you going to be talking to? And the gaps in communication with the listener is if the listener is pretending to listen, bored or biased against you or the topic you're talking about or the requests that you are putting forth, if the speaker is not legible or easily understood, if the message is not clear, if the background is noisy, if the time is not right. There are many reasons why this could happen. Now, the good part about listening is, or people are listening to you when they're paying attention, asking questions, when they're engaged or receptive. You have to also know something about the listener. Who is the listener? It could be a friend that you have. It could be a friend that you're talking to. It could be a stranger. It could be in like an interview. It could be in a meeting. It could be anywhere. So who is the listener? If you're talking to a group, who are the people who will be in the group? What is their age? What are their ages, gender, education level? What are their interests in the topic? What is their educational level, their language fluency? Because all of these things you have to consider when you are going to be crafting your message if you want the listener to help you to get the result that you want. Thank you. The message. The message is not understood if it's vague, long, complicated, concise, it has no context, or it's not clear. And there is a joke I read recently about a farmer whose dog was missing for a long time, and he was really depressed. So his wife said, "Why don't you put an ad in the papers to see if someone could help you to find your dog?" And he did. 2 weeks went by. There was no response. And the wife said, "What did you put in the ad?" He said, "Hair boy." That's all he put in the ad, hair boy. Now, he knew what he was talking about. It had context to him, but only to him. If you or I had seen that ad, we wouldn't know what to do with it. We would dismiss it. It's the same thing that happens when we are crafting a message or when we have to say something. So if we want people to understand our message and to take action in it, it has to be not complicated, not vague, not long. It has to be concise. And more importantly, it has to have context. Because most of the times when we are talking, we know what it is we want to say. It's in our heads. We can see the picture. But that doesn't mean that the listener is going to be able to understand it. We have to be very clear and concise as to what the message is. And the message should support the objective, the results that you want. It should also take into consideration who the listener is. The old farmer, for example, didn't take into consideration who the readers were. Because if he did, he would have understood that he is the only one who understands what hair boy means. For the listener, there is the gap in communication, or misunderstanding happens when, the speaker. Yes, I'm sorry, I can't see the whole screen here. So the speaker will have problems being understood if the listener is having difficulty hearing or understanding the message. If the speaker doesn't care if the message is received or if it is heard, if the speaker is careless with the language, if the speaker, more importantly, is I-centered. When I say I-centered, I mean it's all about me. It's not about you. I'm talking about what I want. I'm not talking about how you can help me. It's almost like I am demanding that you help me. And if the speaker is not credible, if the speaker is somebody who is always late or always not truthful or not credible, then that person's reputation is going to precede them. So as a speaker, you have to be able to develop an image in the minds of the listener so that it will be easy for them to help you to get what you want. So your voice has to be audible. Your voice has to be easy to understand. Your message has to be easy to understand. You have to use the appropriate words and language that would suit the listeners, that the listeners can understand. You have to be reputable. And more importantly, you have to be invested in the interaction. Enthusiasm and passion goes a long way in what you are going to be talking about. So don't miss out on those parts. Just remember four things. You really have to remember just 4 things in any communication interaction that you have. Why are you speaking? What do you want from this person? What do you want from this as a result of this interaction? It could be anything, but you have to know what it is about and what it is not about. Most importantly, what it is not about. You have to know who you're speaking to. Are you speaking to get somebody angry? Are you speaking to get somebody to help you? Is it somebody you know, or is it a stranger? If it's a stranger, you will have to give more information. You will have to introduce yourself. If it's somebody you know, you have the opportunity to maybe not deliver a longer message or an explanation, especially if the person knows part of what you're going to be saying. The message has to be crafted in such a way that it would reflect you, what you want out of the interaction, and also be easy for the listener to understand. And you, the speaker, you have to know what it is you want. You have to know how you are going to be presenting this message. And if on Zoom or online, we don't really talk much about body language, but body language is important in the transmission of a message. So online, of course, you have to be using smiling, eye contact, and not having too many gestures so that it could be distracting. In person, look at the space, look at your personal space, look at the tone of voice, look at eye contact. So again, there's so much more to communication than what I'm saying now. But just remember these 4 parts. The objective, the audience, the message, and you, the speaker. And start paying attention to how other people communicate also. If you have somebody in your circle, for example, who is a good communicator or not a good communicator, ask yourself, what is it about this person that I can't understand, or I can't follow, or I don't trust? Or what is it about this person who I really admire? How come he or she is getting his message across or getting the results that they want? So take things apart, dissect conversations, dissect presentations that you hear. See what is working for these people and what could be working for you. One thing that I have to say is, don't try to remember anything. Do not try to mimic anybody, because it depends on their personality and your personality. You have to find what works for your personality. And okay, it's okay. I don't need that.
Okay, you already covered. Okay.
Yes.
Give me 1 second.
Sure. Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot. That's a really valuable points, key points, actually. I do have a few questions related to that. Because since we are talking here in Voice of Men 360, especially focusing on boys and men, helping boys and men. So what do you see in the past in your experience, from your experience? What did you see actually, the commonality, between the boys, youth, and particularly in men, the missing gap, or what's the real problem when it comes to communication, though?
It depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to one of your pals, a male, if you're talking to another male, your conversation will be different than if you're talking to a female, a woman. Because when you're talking to another male, you are on the same wavelength, you understand each other, and you don't really have to think about any aspect of communication. But when you're speaking to women, it is different, because we need other considerations in communication. So, for example, we need more than a yes or a no. Like the farmer, instead of saying yes, here boy, we need more information. We need something like, for example, for the ad, we need something like dog missing, black Labrador, weighs about 60 pounds, whatever. We need information, and men don't tend to give that kind of any more information than is necessary when speaking to women or to other people. So it's something that you have to put yourself in the listener's shoes to find out what it is that I have to say to get this person to understand me.
Right. That's really important, actually, especially the married couples in the family life. The communication is very, very key. I think that the failure of communication, that's the reason, because of a lot of divorce, or other circumstances. But I would like to ask you one question here about the technology. Because of the technology, the verbal communication is not really happening or in real time, or disappearing slowly. So can you able to share any of the steps that we can use on a daily basis, where we can actually have a real communication, though? Some simple steps.
Yeah. Communication, you have to set aside time for communication, because everybody is so busy. Both parents or both parties in a relationship are very busy, and it gets complicated if they're kids, or working late, having 2 jobs, long commute, whatever else will add to your day or to your time. So you have to set aside time for communication, and really have heart-to-heart communication. In my experience I have a lot of male clients, and they open up to me because of the questions that I ask. I can't help you, for example, if I don't know who you are, and more importantly, if you don't know who you are. And it's in conversation with yourself or with other people that you get to know who you are. And especially for men, they don't take the time for that, because it's not something taught how to do or that's expected from them. It's expected from women, but it's not expected from men. And I've seen over the years, and in my experience and other people's experience, that this lack of communication, or this inability to communicate authentically or freely, that, and that's a challenge for men, it has affected the family dynamics and communities. So it has to start with the man getting to know himself, and also having conversations with partners, or people in the family, other relationships, and letting them know how you feel. It's getting easier now for men to open up, and it's getting more acceptable for men to open up, to say or to share feelings. It hasn't reached the place it needs to be as yet, but it's getting there. And organizations like Voice of Men 360 is giving you is giving you permission as such to open up. And so, for an answer to your question, a short answer to your question is to make time for conversation and see where you can have honest, heart-to-heart conversation.
Absolutely. It's good thing you point out about open up though. That's one of the question I was going to ask you. When you deal with in the past, like when you had those clients, male clients, I'm talking about, how often or how comfortable they are when it comes to communication, like in terms of open up. What are the challenges in the real sense you felt?
Some of the challenges that they experience is the backlash as such, because nobody else expects them to open up. So when they do, it's like, what's wrong with him? Or,
Right.
there is always some negative reaction when men open up, and that's because society is not accustomed to that. But the more they do, and especially with the people who they care about, the easier it will be. And if everybody does that, eventually it will become as part of what's expected from a man, or it will be easier for them to know that whatever they want to say or share about their emotions, it's acceptable. It's going to take a long while to get over that that upbringing, because it is so ingrained into men. And for women, for example, women have had to overcome other challenges, other difficulties, but there were lots of organizations and groups and so forth that started for women, and women are in a better place now. And I'm hoping that that's the same thing that would start for men. And organizations like this and other organizations that encourage men to be free to live their life according to how they want it would be more prevalent, and there will be more organizations popping up to help men. So, for men, I know they want to open up, but it has to start somewhere, and it has to start with them, because they are going to be setting the expectations for us, other people, to follow.
Well, that's really important, because when we talk about communication, it's not just open up or talking about anything. It's everything related to leadership or any other communications. As their children watching, or their surroundings watching. So it's very hard if they don't open up, at least if they don't share something like whatever they have it. Of course, we talk about so many things, business and other aspects of life, but not our personal matters, personal issues. So when you hide that, in that communication, so that's where we get that pressure and stress and everything. So I really appreciate Gloria for you bringing this up, and already you shared your article. It's really having a lot of sense, and then also the points there. So of course, we will bring some other times, and then we will elaborate. We will discuss more some other times in the near future, because she is helping. She has been helping a lot of people, especially individuals. The male. Doesn't matter, youth or any age category, but she was helping. So that's where we need some kind of support from those people. It doesn't matter either coaching or communication or mentorship or trainings, workshops like this. So definitely we will bring, and then this way at least one of you guys, anybody who is listening on the other end, you can pick at least one point here, and then you can apply in your life. That's our intention is. So thank you one more time, Gloria, for being here, for your time and everything. Thank you.
You are very welcome.
Friends, today we had a special discussion on communication. Yes, communication is the key for everything in our day-to-day life. Apart from that, we do have open up a talk show, live talk show. So wherever whoever can come and participate on that, you can share your life stories. You can just open up and share your life stories, experience, overcome, struggle, challenges. So this way, whoever is listening on the other end, at least they can understand, they can relate to your story, and then they can change their mindset or believe they can change their life in a positive way. That's we want to create awareness about this. We have a space, you can talk about it, you can share your life stories. That's every Sundays from 10 a.m. to 10:30, 30 minutes. Of course, we cannot bring within 30 minutes, we cannot bring a person's life, but we will bring it as much as we can. So we also have another webinar, monthly webinar twice a month. We will bring experts, and then we will discuss on a particular topic. And also we have a shows in Tamil that's called Vili I, just creating awareness to our Tamil community, where people can come and they can talk about issues in Tamil language, their own native language. There's a high demand. We don't do that. So that's why I wanted to create a space. And also we have a show on Saturdays. Today we have it 8:30. All the times, like every time I'm talking about, the times zone is Canadian time, Eastern Standard Time. So we are excited to have our big event coming up on November 14th to November 18th. We have 2 sets of events for the International Men's Day. We are very, very extremely happy, and then we are looking forward to it. We're going to have over 35 people from all around the world. So from 10 to 11 on November 14th to November 18th, and also on 19th, there will be 2 sets of first hour. We will have a speech, and also the second hour, we're going to have a panel discussion. So we are excited, and then so many people are joining. So thank you guys. Thank you for your support. Please continue your support, and also subscribe our YouTube channel. Thanks a lot. See you next time. Thank you.